Minecraft. I remember when Minecraft came out, I was around 12 years old. I find Minecraft a very solemn and melancholic experience. When the Minecraft movie was announced, I thought it looked really bad. The whole trailer just looked ugly. The other week, I was in Asda and I saw this. A Minecraft movie. The Junior Novelization. Full disclosure, I had not seen the Minecraft movie before reading this book. Yesterday, I did go to a surprisingly busy cinema, and I did see a Minecraft movie. So in this video, I will be walking through my thoughts on the Junior Novelization, as well as the cinema experience. I approached this book looking at 5 main factors. The writing, both good and bad. The memes we all know and love.
Chicken jockey! I am Steve!
And whether the jokes are funny or unfunny. The book opens with this really nice art of the cast and crew. Not the crew, just the cast. Can you imagine if it had the crew?
Director.
The director.
Jack Black.
It also has Jason Momoa and the others. When he was a little kid, an imaginative, adventurous boy named Steve discovered something amazing. An entrance to an abandoned mine just outside town. The book pretty much opens the same way the movie does, except the book is told in third person and the movie is told in first person, with Jack Black's voice drilling into your ears.
You're for the mines!
On the first page, there is actually a line I really like. Steve did a terrible thing. He grew up. So, yada yada, Steve finds a portal and goes to Minecraft. He sees lots of things like sheep and a blocky bee which buzzed by. Love that sentence, love the alliteration. What's the author's name? David Lumen. He writes a lot of these novelizations. He's done like 150 of them. David, blocky bee buzzed by, incredible line. Well done. Mad respect, my guy. Mad respect. So the opening chapter pretty much just follows the first half of Steve's journey. It's very rushed, but not as rushed as the movie. The first page of chapter 2, we are introduced to Malgosia. Both the book and the movie's introduction of Malgosia I find really jarring, especially someone who knows Minecraft, because it's basically just like, here's all the stuff you know from the games. Also, there's this old hag who lives in the nether. Malgosia wants this cube. Well, it's an orb. She calls it an orb, which is very funny because it's a cube and they don't understand round objects. That is good writing.
Cast it into the flames.
Into the fire it goes. Bam. Fuck. Talking about just Steve's introduction, both in the book and the film, although the film's definitely more guilty of this, this introduction is a lot. I genuinely wanted to whisper to my friend while seeing this, like, this feels like a TikTok video. When you see, like, those movies explained to you by, like, an AI voice, there's a lot to take in, especially with the bright visuals. I was very overstimulated.
The intended effect.
Yeah. But thankfully, we're back on Earth. We're meeting my favourite character, Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is playing the Gamer of the Year 1989, Garrett the Garbage Man Garrison. Absolutely jacked. Very, very pathetic. My favourite type of man. When we meet Garrett, who is the owner of a video game store, there's a lot of lines that are in the film, but are kind of blick in your minutes at moments, so I almost found them funnier in the book. He scooped some protein powder and a crushed sleeve of cookies into his mouth. It's like 1 second in the film, you see him put in the protein powder and cough it out. If I wasn't expecting it because of the book, I probably would have missed it, and it's one of my favourite jokes. To keep his hands in shape for playing video games, Garrett squeezes a piece of grip strengthening equipment and rotates 5-pound hand weights around his wrists. I love how they apply a bodybuilder mentality to gaming. Frankly, I'm surprised more people don't do that in real life. Garrett is actually coaching 3 10-year-olds, Leo, Greta, and Miles, who signed up to take his winning at life lessons. They basically watch him play video games all day. There's a line I really like that's not in the movie. Why aren't you letting us play? Leo complained. The male lion hunts alone. The children get his scraps, and they are grateful. But we paid you. I'm sad that wasn't in the movie. That's a funny line. And then the chapter ends, postperson comes in, and he's given his eviction notice. Into the fire it goes.
Rest in peace, Jason Momoa.
Rest in peace, Jason Momoa. I can see his silhouette burning. Then we meet 2 of the other main characters, brother and sister duo, Natalie and Henry. They're both very young. Natalie is Henry's carer, and we are immediately told why, and I absolutely love this line. It is the best exposition ever written. Chugless wasn't my first choice either, but Mom's dying wish for us to live here. Incredible. They drive to their new house. They meet the real estate agent, Dawn, who is our other character rounding up this group of 4, who will eventually go into a Minecraft world. As they're unpacking their bags, Henry picks up a picture of his sister and his mother, who we know is dead. It was her dying wish, of course, that got him there in the first place. Looks at it dramatically and places it down. Now, I would call this cliche if I had a dead parent. God knows I, too, would be dramatically looking at pictures of them like... Here is the main change I found from the book to the film. Henry is interested in inventing, and Natalie wants him to just fit in. She basically says to him, when you do your invention, you always ruin our stuff. Can you just try to act normal?
Why can't you just be normal?
I genuinely wonder if this line was in the movie and they cut it out, because it does make her seem really antagonistic. Later in the book and in the film, we learn she is anxious about the fact that he may not fit in, he may get bullied. He's more creative, he's a bit different. I wouldn't be surprised if this was in an earlier draft as the script, but they decided, you know what, we don't want to villainize her too much. And to be fair, on the very next page, she doesn't apologize. She says, I'm just really stressed. We meet one of the teachers. There's a line that's not in the movie that I love. For those of you who don't know me, I teach gym, but now, thanks to budget cuts, I also teach art. So true. The whole theme of creativity is prevalent throughout, and I think it's handled well, mostly. I do love the theme of it's good to be creative. But one of the things Henry does is make a jetpack to prove he can, and two bullies cut one of the wires so it ends up flying into this horrifying potato chip mascot at the local potato chip factory. And it's like, oh, Henry's being shat on because his creativity basically caused a domestic incident. Also, something I've not mentioned yet, that's not in the book and makes me sad, is Jennifer Coolidge is the deputy and principal of the school. And she has an incredible subplot that's not in the book. I can't do a Jennifer Coolidge impression, but it won't stop me trying. The good news is, no one died. The bad news is, you've disrupted the supply chain for potato chips all across America. Your head is huge. Are they in Minecraft yet? Henry goes missing because he goes to the garbage man's game shop rather than going home, so Natalie calls Dawn and panics, like, I can't find my brother. And it's like, oh, it's probably because he's hiding because he's a domestic terrorist. And Natalie's like, what? And then they use the Find My iPhone to find out he's playing in a mine. They find a cube, they put the cube in a box, and the box tries to take him to the mine. Because in the mine, all four of them find there's a portal. There's a portal in the mine with a box. I actually really like this bit. Just before they go through the portal, they're all holding on to Henry and they're saying, let go of the cube, don't get sucked in. I really like this passage. Henry looked at the cube. What?
It's a Bible. Let me read you some scripture.
Henry looked at the cube. Sure, he could let go, do the safe thing, the normal thing, but he didn't. And I just love that. I love the whole thing of, his sister, especially in the book, is telling him, be normal. And I like the characterization of, like, you know what? No, he's making active decisions. I love an active character. They're in the Minecraft world. There is a line in the book I really like that isn't in the movie. Natalie says, I think we're experiencing a sheer delusion. Group insanity. The French call it folie à deux. And Garrett snorts. The French have a stupid word for everything. That's just called language. Malgosia's like, the orb is back. So then they're building things, they're running away from skeletons and spider jockeys, zombies, and Henry runs into a tree and finds out, oh shit, this is Minecraft. I can mine and I can craft a house to escape the zombies. So they fight the zombies, they build a house, and oh no, the zombies are in the house because there's a creeper. And he explodes the house. There's someone here. There's someone here who's gonna save them. He kills a zombie. Henry's like, whoa, who are you? And he's like, And then, like I said, I'm not a big fan of Jack Black, whatever. I was really bitter when I read this page, because I've highlighted the I and Steve announced dramatically, am Steve, which personally isn't how I would have wrote that. I would have had a little ellipses in there. I, ellipses, am Steve. I wrote at the top of this page, God, you can hear Jack Black's obnoxious voice. I think I've calmed down since then. It's not that bad. Steve's like, we're in Minecraft. And then back in the Nether, there's a guy called General Chungus who's a piglin and he's really camp and I love him. And he's like, what's up, Malgosia? And then she's like, go get Steve. And he's like, alright, I will. I'll go get him. So then Steve takes him back to the village and they meet the villagers who are really freaky looking. But there is a line I like that I don't think is in the film. God, they're the villagers. I don't think I've ever seen their arm. But there is also a funny bit in replace of that where Jason Momoa goes at them and goes like this. They're pretty chill, just don't bother them. They love crunching loaf, which is in the film. I love that line. I too love crunching loaf. Steve's there, we get a cute Technoblade reference. And then, on page 64, Steve asks a question. You ever wonder what happens when you mix hot lava and chicken? I hate the Lava Chicken song so much. But it's actually abridged in this. If you were wondering what the movie version looks like, abridged, here it is now.
La 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 lava, chicken. Steve's lava chicken, crispy and juicy. Now you're having a stack. Ooh, super spicy. It's a lava attack.
Steve tries to eat the lava chicken. Big sexy Jason Momoa is like, I crave heat, I crave pain. Then they're attacked And General Chungus is like, hey Steve, sorry I have to unalive you. When this movie came out, I heard one of the main things people say, like, oh god, they say unalive. And it's really a nothing line. I too don't like that word and like how language has become sanitized because of the internet and policies and stuff. But honestly, I think it works as a joke. We get a conversation between Steve and Natalie just before this assault that I kind of skimmed over. Steve is like, Henry's really creative. Creativity is the key to survival, but he's Jack Black when he's saying it. And Natalie's like, that's not how it works in the real world. Creative kids, they get bullied. I can't let that happen to him. It's my job to protect him. Which in the movie, it's obviously a plot point that Natalie is projecting this anxiety onto Henry, and that really works. But with the line earlier of, why can't you just be normal? It is giving that, like, Natalie, you are the bully. So it's interesting how just one single line really painted my view of you. Steve takes them to the stash. They see the ender pearl. They craft. They do the crafting. Steve's like, Henry, you craft good. Jason Momoa, you craft bad. They make the buck jackets. They fight Chungus. Henry makes a gun that fires potato chips or whatever. When Chungus is there, Garrett says, sorry, I don't negotiate with pigs, which is really based. ACAB. They get chased. They get separated from the girls because the girls are finding maps. They're running away. There's elytra wingsuits. They fly. Jason Momoa and Jack Black face fuck each other for a little bit while flying. Then Jack Black is like, trust me, water bucket, because that's a thing from the Minecraft game, the water bucket, and he says, release, and then there's water. They go to the mine, they get the diamonds, they explode some creepers. There's a creature called the Great Hog. Now, the thing with the novelization is it almost assumes you've seen the film. It doesn't describe anything, it just tells you things. So it's like, the Great Hog was coming to attack Garrett, Steve, and Henry, and it never explains what that is. I kind of wasn't sure if it was a big piglin, which the movie kind of depicts it as, or if it was a genuine, just massive pig. So that's one criticism I will give to the book. If it's there to be an alternative to the movie and get kids to reading, having descriptions are really important because it sparks that creativity in their head of like helping them imagine them. Henry is mad at Garrett because he was greedy and almost got them killed. Garrett's like, I'm a loser, man. Okay, we're at the Woodland Mansion. So they sing a song, Henry gets in, he sees an Enderman and is given emotional issues because of it, where he just sees all his friends and family be like, you suck, we hate you. The Enderman is suitably scary, and Henry fights back, and he does the optimal way of killing an Enderman, which is just absolutely swinging for it. And while this is happening, Garrett and Steve are put into a Vindicator fight club.
Good jockey!
Now, he fights the chicken jockey, and I prefer how he defeats him in the book compared to the film. Because in the film, Steve jumps, headbutts him, saves Garrett. In the book, they get the zombie baby off, and they just drop kick him. Gosh, this book is like almost done, even though there's quite a bit of the film left. But Henry gets the orb, then they're trying to escape, they're being attacked by ghasts. Garrett the garbage man sacrifices himself and explodes on a bridge. Spoiler alert, he does survive. Steve reunites with Dennis. Henry and Natalie have a very forced conversation where Natalie's like, I'm sorry. It's handled better in the book because it explains like, oh, Natalie made the safe house in the mushroom, whereas in the movie it implies that Dawn made it. Natalie's like, hey, look, I took a page out of your book, I made us a safe house. Henry's like, oh, I'm really impressed with you, and like, oh, I'm proud of what I've done creatively, but I'm proud of you as well. In the film, it's basically just, hey, I'm sorry I said those things. Okay, it's just like that. Malgosia gets the orb, she blocks out the sun, and they need to get it back because the overworld is being taken over by the piglings from the Nether. Steve says, alright, I'm gonna need someone to mine, I'm gonna need someone to craft. Let's Minecraft.
Minecraft.
They fight, they make a big iron golem with boots of swiftness. Steve fights Malgosia, he throws egg at them. Henry uses an ender portal, almost dies, saved by Jarrett. And Dawn's like, hey you stupid pigs, because she's also based. ACAB. And then they win, they get it. I forgot about this line. In the film, Malgosia just collapses, that's the last we see of her. In the book, Steve walks away. With that, Malgosia breathed her last foul, stinky breath to be mourned by no one. That is the hardest line I've ever read, and it's in the Minecraft movie novelization. They're like, hey, we're gonna go back to the real world, and they're like, Steve, come with us. And he's like, no, I'm not going to. And in the film, he sings another song about his wolf, and Jack Black's like, no, I'll stay here. And then he's like, I've changed my mind. And I actually like the end of the film, where it has like this 2000s movie montage of where are they now. So the book ends in a really low-key way. We follow Natalie. She finishes unpacking. She finds at the bottom of one of her boxes a blank sketchbook, just like Henry's. And on the back page, her mother has written to her, to Natalie, dream away. love mom. And I'm just going to read this last paragraph because I really like it. Smiling, Natalie reached for a paintbrush. She didn't even care whether the painting was good or not. She just wanted to create something new, something no one had ever seen before. Henry had inspired her. I think it's a really nice way of ending the book. In the film, they have the Natalie love mom thing. It's like a pottery pig that it's implied the mother made, and we do see Natalie painting. But I really like this low-key ending. And at the end, there's a lovely picture of the bees.
Trans rights.
Trans rights?
Don't you remember the tweet that was like the Minecraft bee is trans?
Good
Like,
for
pissed
them.
off a million people.
Good for them. And with that, we've come to the end of a Minecraft movie Junior Novelization. Even though I kind of went in with a pessimistic mind, I did enjoy the book. I actually enjoyed the movie a lot more than I thought I would. And it's nice to see that these novelizations are still around, because working with children, I've met lots of kids who love Minecraft. And if this is a way to get them to pick up a book and read, I'm absolutely all for it.
Oh, is it okay to burn that part of the book?
Noxious fumes, carbon monoxide.
La 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 lava, chicken. Steve's lava chicken, yeah, it's tasty as hell. Ooh, super spicy, now you're under my spell. Crispy and juicy, yeah, it's a hot snack. Ooh, super spicy, it's a lava attack.